You're watching Reality Check. There's been outrage and grief after the death of Stan Swamy, the ailing 84-year-old Jharkhand-based tribal rights activist and Jesuit priest. Swamy, who'd spent 9 months in jail on charges of terrorism, died today in a hospital in Mumbai while still technically in custody, despite his worsening health and multiple appeals for bail, all of which had been turned down. 5 bail applications in all, 2 of which were outright rejected and 3 are still pending. Swamy is reported suffering from cough, fever, weakness multiple times. During one of the hearings, an NIA court had said age and alleged sickness did not go in his favor while seeking bail. Swamy was actually held in Taloja jail on the outskirts of Mumbai, and on occasion he was made to travel close to 55 kilometers in a police van to Mumbai's JJ hospital for tests. He told the Bombay High Court in a recent hearing on May 21st that he only is requesting interim bail. He would rather die in jail if things go on as it is, he had said. I would like to be with my own in Ranchi, Jharkhand, where he's from, he said. Jail has brought me to a situation where I can neither write nor walk. Someone has to feed me. It was only when his health plummeted towards the end of May that he was transferred to a private hospital in Mumbai, where he died. In a cruel irony, his death was announced in court to the judges during yet another bail hearing. Many are holding the state and the judicial system accountable for his death. Some, like Sitaram Yechury of the CPM, are even calling it outright murder. The UN and the EU's special rapporteurs on human rights have both tweeted, saying that they raised concerns over his arrest with Indian authorities. The outrage had begun from the time he was arrested in October last year in what was known as the Bhima Koregaon case of 2018, where an annual Dalit event in Maharashtra had turned violent. 16 people, scholars, lawyers, academicians, cultural activists, were arrested in the case, Swamy being the last. The NIA charged that they were part of a Maoist plot to incite the violence. To those who knew him as a gentle tribal rights defender, the arrest and the charges came as a shock. Unusually, and in a testament to Swamy's reputation, the Chief Minister of Jharkhand had come out in Swamy's defense, addressing a press conference along with top opposition leaders to strongly condemn Swamy's arrest. Anticipating his arrest, Swamy himself had released a video in which he addressed some of the charges against him, claiming that the evidence with which he was confronted, alleged communications with Maoists, was planted on his computer.
I was interrogated for 15 hours during a span of 5 days. Apart from my biodata and some factual information about Bagaita, about Patalgadi issue, about Bhima Koregaon movement, etc., for which whatever they asked I provided, and some persons whom I had come across in this process. They started to put before me certain extracts supposedly taken from my computer, extracts which were, Maoists were communicating with each other. And in some excerpt even my name was mentioned, so I just denied and disowned every single extract that was put before me. So these extracts were all interpolations put into my computer, so I took that stance very clearly. And finally, now they are even asking me to go to Bombay for further interrogation, which I am refusing to go because my age, I have certain ailments, there is the epidemic which is ravaging the country. We are all aware how prominent intellectuals, lawyers, writers, poets, activists, student leaders, they are all put into jail just because they have expressed their dissent or raised questions about the ruling powers of India. So we are part of the process. As such, in a way, I am happy to be part of this process because I'm I'm not a silent spectator, but I'm part of it, part of the game, and ready to pay the price, whatever be it.
Ready to pay the price, whatever be it. Stan Swamy there. Now, independently, a series of reports by a US-based forensic firm, Arsenal Consulting, earlier this year had found that the so-called Maoist letters may have been planted on the computers of the Bhima Koregaon accused. The Arsenal report, which was first reported by the Washington Post, had analyzed the hard drive of one of the accused, human rights activist Rona Wilson. Arsenal found that the attacker had used malware to infiltrate the laptop of these accused. Over 30 Maoist letters were planted in Rona Wilson's laptop. The malware was delivered via attachments in mails sent by Wilson's associates. Using malware, the attacker created a hidden folder. There was no evidence, the Arsenal report found, that Wilson had ever opened that hidden folder. In fact, Arsenal called it one of the most serious cases of tampering. All right, joining me tonight on Reality Check, we have with us Vrinda Grover, Advocate Supreme Court. Jean Drez, economist and activist, is here with us. Deshratan Nigam, political analyst, supports the RSS. And Vikram Singh, former DGP, Uttar Pradesh. Vrinda Grover, tragic as this was in some ways waiting to happen, was it not? Because you had all these accused, many of them ailing. Varavara Rao went right to the brink. Sudha Bharadwaj herself also accused and arrested in the Bhima Koregaon case, also not well. And of course, Stan Swamy, whose health was perilous, was deteriorating right from the beginning.
Yes, Vasu, this is not tragic. I think it is designed for this to happen. From the arrest of Stan, and I want to place on record, I have known Father Stan Swamy personally, his work as an activist. I have met him on many occasions, and I'm very happy to say that he had asked me to represent in the PIL that he filed in Jharkhand, asking for the under trial prisoners as convener of the Persecuted Prisoners Solidarity Committee, where he sought for the liberty and freedom of those who are languishing, the Adivasis who are languishing. And what did he ask in that PIL? He said the right to speedy trial, the right to personal liberty. And Stan Swamy has paid a price for the very mission that he was actually campaigning for. So this is not, it's not by accident that he died. In the midst of a very severe pandemic, right. An 84-year-old man was died to the Adivasis in Jharkhand. Okay. In fact, to the Bombay High Court, when he addressed, he said, I would like to go back to my own. Who were his own? The Adivasis of Jharkhand. To arrest him, for what reason was he kept behind bars is the question the criminal legal system will have to reckon with. And it is the whole country needs to ask this question. Right. Unlawful Activity Prevention Act does not trump the Constitution of India or Article 21, the right to life and the right to health. He was not interrogated in custody even for a single hour by the National Investigating Agency. Why is a man kept behind bars when no trial is being conducted, when the evidence is suspect? No independent investigation and probe is being carried out. Right. Is it because he's standing for the rights of those who are seeking their constitutional rights, which could be against corporate interests, against powerful vested interests? Okay. Prisons are today holding grounds for activists. And Father Stan Swamy's death cannot be called a tragedy. It is a design of the criminal legal system. Okay. There has to be accountability for this. Okay. Jean Drez, tell us about the Stan Swamy that you knew, because you've been working in Jharkhand, which is also where he was working. Tell us about the man you knew and about these allegations that he was somehow part of a Maoist plot.
Yes, I think that Stan's personality has already come through quite well in many of the recent media reports, especially today, and also in what you have shown us a few minutes ago. He was really a wonderful human being, and I would add to that an exemplary citizen. I have worked with him for the last 15, 20 years. We have worked on a number of issues related to economic and social rights. And I would also mention communal harmony. I mentioned communal harmony because one of the main charges is in the summary charge sheet in which he is mentioned is that, I'm quoting, he promoted enmity between different groups on grounds of religion, caste and community. Now this is absurd beyond words. Anyone who knows Stan and his work would know that this is the opposite of the truth. So in a way, we don't have to go further to understand that he's being framed. As it happens, I actually went further and I read the entire charge sheet, 200 pages, line by line. And I can assure you that I could not see anything of any substance against Stan. I mean, the only thing that is possibly incriminating is a document which is kind of attributed to him, but not really attributed to him, about the technicalities of evading interception in secret communications. It's a very technical document,
right?
And there's no way he could have written that. I mean, he could barely send an email. This is a joke, you know. So I think nothing can excuse what happened today. And by the way, even if you were a Maoist, which I don't believe for a second, even then you could not excuse what has happened today. I mean, an old man,
right,
ill, already almost dying, who does not pose any flight risk,
sure,
who is not trying to run away, who cannot tamper with evidence, who is cooperating with investigating agencies,
right,
and does not have proper access to medical care in prison, is denied bail and denied proper medical care. Do you know, Vasu, that in this Taloja jail,
yes,
which has a capacity of about 2,000 inmates,
yes,
and was supposed to have only about 1,400 during COVID because of social distancing norms, it actually has more than 3,000. And for 3,000 inmates, it does not have a single allopathic doctor. It has 3 Ayurvedic
doctors. Yes.
So obviously, that is not a place where you keep an old man who has multiple morbidities, suffers from Parkinson and so on.
Right.
So this is absolutely, totally inexcusable.
I just want to ask you, Vikram Singh Saab, that, if one just was to even put aside Stan Swamy's track record, all of that, just strictly from the point of view of an investigating agency, a prosecution, was it really required to arrest somebody like Stan Swamy and keep challenging his bail applications every time, as the NIA kept doing?
Mr. Jain, a very pertinent question. I would say that this was an avoidable tragedy. It is one thing to be firm, it is one thing to be resolute, and entirely another to be perverse and vindictive. You're very right. If I had been in charge of the investigation, I would not have vigorously pursued this denial of bail or contested the bail, because I would have put him under surveillance. I would have ensured that he got the bail, not because I am not satisfied with his defense or satisfied with defense, but he is an old person, elderly person, requiring medical attention. He suffers from very serious ailments. To that extent, I would feel it will be the interest of the organization that he should have got bail, he should got proper treatment. May God Almighty could have given a long life, and then under surveillance, perhaps he would have served the investigation better, because under surveillance, you had the opportunity of seeing with whom he is interacting, with whom he is not interacting. Arsenal consulting any case or any such agency outside India has no locus standi in our courts. It is only the government forensic laboratories who have a locus standi.
Sure.
I cannot pick up any agency of my choice in England or Panama Islands and speak on my behalf. But professionally speaking, Mr. Jain, I think late Father Stanley did deserve bail, did deserve the best medical treatment, and to that extent, I am extremely sorry for what has happened, an avoidable tragedy.
Right. Deshratan Nigam, because you're a lawyer as well, do you think that there was almost something perverse in the way that the bail to Stan Swamy was repeatedly opposed despite his clearly deteriorating medical condition? And to that extent, the point that Vrinda Grover is making, this almost seemed to be by design.
No. I don't agree with that kind of a proposition, because prosecution opposes, but it is not in the hands of the prosecution to grant or deny bail. It is in the hands of a judge and who sees the material on record. And if you read the order denying Mr. Stan Swamy's bail, they found prima facie evidence on that he was involved in Naxalism and Maoist activities. Please read that order.
I'm saying the prosecution, just from the prosecution point of view, you're right to say that the final call is with the judge. But as Vikram Singh Saab was saying, that there was no need in this instance to push for the denial of bail. Do you agree with that?
I differ with the former DGP of UP. Because
you think that Stan Swamy should have been incarcerated at 84 with all his ailments, not being a flight risk, all of that?
No,
he still deserved to be incarcerated.
Let me tell you why. Because the entire case that he was the brain behind it. And age is immaterial out there when you are a brain behind a particular operation. Pathalgadi, he was involved in Pathalgadi, and he was also involved in Maoist operation. He is dead. I don't want to,
No, but hold on, Deshratan Nigam, sorry, just a second. You're a lawyer, so you fully understand that when you say statements like he was involved in Maoist activities,
these are charges.
You can't say that. It's still a charge sheet. The case is not even in trial. He's not been convicted.
Let me answer that.
So let's not make definitive statements.
Unfortunately, let me answer that. That's a distinction out here. Mr. Stan Swamy died guilty as charged. Because under UAPA, you are guilty till proven innocent. Please remember that.
Okay. All right. Vrinda Grover? Yes.
Yes, I think Mr. Deshratan Nigam would have to reread both the UAPA, the Indian Evidence Act, and of course the Indian Constitution, because that has not yet been altered at all. UAPA does not, if I arrest somebody is arrested under UAPA, does it mean that that person is guilty? The charge sheet has been filed. There is not
one at a time. Deshratan Nigam, one at a time. No interruptions. Yes. Sorry, go ahead.
Of the law, I do not wish to comment on. I wish you luck in your legal reading. The court will determine whether prima facie a charge is made out and charges are framed. The procedure of trial does not stand altered. What has happened is that the bail provision says that the prosecutor will be asked and whether a prima facie has been made out. We have had recently a spate of acquittals on the UAPA which show that for friends, conviction rate at the UAPA is 2.2% as presented in Parliament of India from 2016 to 2019. There is a discharge of Akhil Gogoi, bail granted activist Asif, Devang and Natasha in an order which shows that police is abusing and arraigning people under UAPA. So Stan Swamy has not been charged. Stan Swamy is not guilty. This kind of demonizing of activists is what creates the kind of environment says, oh, somebody is arrested under UAPA, then that person must have done something wrong. That is not rule of law.
Okay.
And this kind of
Can I answer? Can I answer
those
what?
activists are standing for the rights of the people. And that is the only crime that Stan ever committed, to dedicate his life to the poor of the country.
All right. Okay. I must. I need to go to genres, but Deshratan, just a quick. No, that's what I'm saying. Quick rebuttal, and then I'll.
Let me tell you, anybody who knows UAPA knows Section 38, subsection 1, where the onus to innocence shifts to the accused. It is not for the prosecution to establish those charges. So that's there. Secondly, let me also point out
that trial.
If the prima facie observation by Delhi High Court is being taken as gospel truth that they are innocent, why can't the prima facie observation by the Bombay court, NIA court, can be taken as a gospel truth for the Stan Swamy?
Okay, let me come back to you.
Are there evidence?
Okay, let me come back to you. Jean Drez, I wanted to ask you that in the light of what has happened, what exactly do you think this sends as a signal to the others who are working as activists in similar domains?
I think that they are all in danger of following the same fate. And I think that is the message that is sought to be given through this. I mean, why was Stan treated the way he was? I mean, it looks like gratuitous cruelty. I don't think it is. I think it sends a message that any dissenter exposes himself or herself to this sort of treatment. To this, Vasu, I would like to add, it's not just the dissenters, it's thousands of ordinary people, especially Adivasis, Dalits and others, especially as you know, especially in places like Jharkhand and Chhattisgarh, who for years have been persecuted in this manner. And I think Stan would have liked us to say that, because he himself kept saying that I am not a unique case. I think he is a symbol of the injustice that has been done year after year to huge numbers of under trials in India, particularly the UAP under trial, who are almost systematically denied bail, and who are stranded in jail for years on end. Most of the time after that they are acquitted because there is no serious evidence against them, but by that time their lives have been ruined and their families' lives have been ruined. And we are not talking of a small number. Remember, 70% of the prison population in India is under trials. A large number, maybe a majority of them, don't even have proper legal aid. That is what we need. That is what we need to look at.
It's today. A terrible backlog. Vikram Singh, you know, when you spoke of how there was no need for the prosecution to act in this way in this case, do you think that this would have been possible, this kind of behavior, without some kind of higher instructions or pressure, that they could have just done this on their own?
Vasu, show me the man and I'll show you the rules. It does not require the intervention of a senior officer to do a thing like that. There are those who are prepared to carry out and run the extra mile to get their own story. You have the likes of Sharma and Vazes in Mumbai police, and you have similar officers in every department who would do anything, go to absurd lengths to prove that they are super cops. The fact of the matter, it is not for me to give tutorials on courtcraft. There are learned lawyers on your panel who know immensely more than I would. But with my limited experience of court proceedings, if the police and the prosecutors want, they can jolly well ensure that somebody gets bail and somebody gets the bail is denied. It is much more difficult to deny the bail, but it is much easy to allow the bail, because there is a level of functional relationship amongst all the three, the basic operatives of the court and legal system, the court, the prosecutor and the defense.
Deshratan, just wanted to ask you very quickly that while you seem to be defending the decision to deny him bail and his continued incarceration, perhaps because Stan Swamy might represent the other side of the ideological divide, aren't these all terrible precedents that are being set that could apply to anybody? Today it could be the other side. It could be people who you think are your ideological fellow travelers being put through this, and you would come on in TV and defend that?
No, I am only saying what the court said. Neither you can be a judge nor you can be, trying this person.
But Deshratan Nigam, you've questioned the wisdom of courts on the show many a time. You questioned it just recently in the Delhi riots case. So why suddenly this wonderful belief in the wisdom of courts when it doesn't suit your narrative?
No. Therefore, you should have one parameter of judging the court's views. That is what I am saying. The prima facie observation of a Delhi High Court, you are taking it as a gospel truth that they are being proven as innocent, then the prima facie observation of Stan Swamy by the NIA court is also very important. I am making that kind of comparison. So you can't pick and choose yourself.
But I thought that's exactly what you were doing. You were questioning the Delhi High Court but saying that this is okay. Anyway, last word, Vrinda Grover, I just wanted to ask you that is there some possibility, given this terrible thing that has happened today, that there could be some greater, I don't know what the right word is, a more humane approach to considering the bail of some of these other accused who are also not in good health?
I think
or we can't come to any.
This is a wake-up call for the judicial system of India, not just for the activists and the human rights defenders, but for the Adivasis and for the poor and the Muslims and the Dalits who are languishing in jail. Under trials cannot be kept in custody unendingly. You can only put a person behind bars if the person has been convicted. if the criminal justice system has collapsed and is crumbling, then people who have not been convicted, unless there are certain risks that there may be, they must be enlarged on bail. Otherwise, criminal legal system, I refuse to call it the criminal justice system today. And criminal law is the chosen weapon of the state to punish and persecute those who disagree with it.
Okay, let's see if it is indeed that wake-up call. But we're all out of time. Thank you so much for joining me on Reality Check. Thank you so much for watching. Good night.